son, Ethan, has a very rare blood disorder called Fanconi anemia, and it affects very few people in this world. But the thing where it affects is later in life, even if it leads to bone marrow failure, which it will, during his time, and we'll have to do a bone marrow transplant. He is very, very susceptible to cancers for the rest of his life. And from that, we have, my wife and I have started a Kids First Fund, which is a fund to fight Fanconi anemia. But really, we're fighting with you. Because Fanconi anemia has a lot to do with AMLs, breast cancers, ovarian cancer, solid tumors, and huge head and neck cancers. Great risk for those folks to develop that. And from the Fanconi research in which we're developing, we're on the same fight as you are. And what you're doing right now with the American Cancer Society to be able to generate this money, and what you're actually doing, I don't even know if you truly realize you're developing hope for people. And I always talk about hope with our players, but hope in life. When you have hope and you know there is someone out there fighting for you, trying to create a cure, trying to save your life, you can't imagine the impact that has on a family every day. When they feel like that things aren't going well, when things aren't right, that they can get up every day knowing that someone's out there fighting for them, that there is hope, that someone can come up with a cure. And I know there's over 12 million cancer survivors that I know that Relay for Life has affected. When you think about 12 million people you have affected, and so many more that you've prevented, and the cures in which you came up with, and the hope that you have given families. There's nothing like hope in this world. Because when your hope's going, your life is going. You hear it all the time when you hear older folks talk about when they get older that they kind of quit living. Well, their hope and what they see in the future is gone. But what you are giving families, you're giving children, you're giving women, you're giving men, you're giving everybody is hope. And there's not a more powerful gift in the world in which you are giving than the hope in which you guys are creating for those families. And especially when you're talking about children and young folks that you're affecting. And for you to give your time, do what you're doing, you can't imagine how the impact you have. And I've seen it personally. And I thought I knew, and I helped very much with myself doing many drives like you do. But when you actually go into a hospital, and the other day I went to the University of Minnesota with my son, and we were showing us some things they're going to do, and we had donated a large amount of money to their hospital to fight the disease which he had. And I met a young man who was 18 years old. He was going on a baseball scholarship. He was born in the state of Minnesota. He was going on a baseball scholarship. And all of a sudden, he just couldn't run as far. Couldn't run as fast. He thought he was out of condition, wasn't training well, kept pushing, went in for a routine checkup. And he had a very, very rare form of leukemia, which up to 2 years ago had never, ever been cured. They had no cure for it. Had nothing, no way to stop it, anything. Well, the doctor in Minnesota, which we were using for our son on the other disease, through stem cells and through cancer research, came up with a transplant that transplanted his bone marrow and affected the cancer from within. But now, a typical bone marrow transplant takes almost 100 days to even have a chance to take it in your body. Now, if it's rejected or not, his took in 21 days. He is now almost fully recovered from that. Now he's just building his levels of endurance back up. And they expect him within 6 months to go back to school and have a chance to go on this career, have a great baseball career, be 100% cured, and have a great life, and just like you and I. And to see that boy's face, and to sit there and watch him. He's the first human being now. He's the first human being to ever have the procedure. And it worked. But the hope, when I sat there and watched his mom, and I watched his dad, and I watched the tears run down his face, and I watched the tears run down their face, to know that he would be that, and one day maybe that could be my wife and I, or our son. But what you are doing right now, do not, and tell your friends, whoever can help, do not underestimate the impact of what you're doing. Because you don't see it on the front lines as much. Sometimes I don't know if you truly appreciate what you are doing, but you are. You're giving hope. And to me, like I say, that's the greatest thing that all of us have. And I can't think of a greater cause. I thank you for what you're doing. God bless y'all, and hopefully y'all have a great weekend. Thank you very much.